Okay, well, let's put it into context. China, when we had SARS, 2003, a $1.5 trillion economy, 4% of global GDP, not particularly economically significant. GDP for 2019, 14.3 trillion US dollars, 16% of global GDP. So integrated in the global process, such a big point of demand for global companies. And when we're seeing, and I think people have been far too casual in terms of, oh, it's going to be fine, look at SARS. That's the point. 60% of China's population in 2003 was rural. Now it's 60% is urban. They did 80 million passenger journeys by air in 2003, 660 million. They're more densely packed, and they travel a lot more. And when we're seeing suddenly Shanghai shuts down for next week, Xinjiang province, which is 56 million people. Hangzhou is also shut down. It
just seems a little bit premature for you to say that this could be a Lehman-type moment. I get your point that China's multiple times bigger than where it was at the time of SARS, but equally, we have seen authorities act very quickly. They've quarantined cities. We're hearing now from the Hong Kong chief saying that they're cutting off basically transport between the mainland and Hong Kong. They are acting quickly, more quickly than they did back in the time of SARS, which obviously was one of the major criticisms that they received back then.
If you read some of the reports, there were elements of this novel coronavirus already out in November. There's a lot of stuff out there in the media of how the authorities in Wuhan kept it covered up just like they did it back in 2003. So it's almost, the timing is almost exactly the same. You go November, January, and to shut down cities. I mean, you think about the impact on economic. If you actually think about it, Lehman, it was a dramatic moment, but its overall effect on global, you didn't have, and even when we had 9/11, you had the flights stopped for a bit, but you didn't shut down, seal off cities. I mean, you're talking like Xinjiang province, 56 million people, where enterprises are shut for another week. Shanghai, 24 million people. Hangzhou is another 11 million people. Huge tranche of the urban population is shut down. A huge tranche of business, So it's, for a lot of Chinese companies are just going to have to declare force majeure and cancel orders and stuff like that.
The benefit of this happening in China, if we do see companies being forced to declare force majeure, is that the Chinese authorities can pretty easily ramp up stimulus efforts if we start to see the virus contained to compensate for the lost business.
No, I completely disagree with that.
We've seen them be able to pull the trigger very, very easily when it comes to stimulus. They've already adjusted interest rates for certain sectors to try to cushion the blow. So we've seen the benefit of having a centralized government in a situation like this.
Yeah, but the problem about this has happened at a time when we were already talking about a point. This is very different to 2003 when the global economy was picking up. China was growing. It still grew by 10% nominal GDP in 2003. It had just joined WTO. And if you look at it the other way around, well, China supposedly had 6% growth last year. Very few people really believe that. Most of the people I know think it's probably closer to 3 to 4%. Now, don't forget, that was done against a background of 2.4% of GDP of tax cuts. A massive expansion, another further massive expansion of credit of about 13 to 14% of GDP. And an overall public sector deficit. Forget the nonsense numbers you hear about the official budget deficit. An overall public sector deficit, 11%. They're already stimulating enormously, and this is not going to arrest the collapse, and consumer confidence is already collapsing. This is not going to arrest the collapse in consumer confidence or the confidence in the faith of the regime.
Hi, I'm Joanna Bersecci, and thank you for watching. You can check out more of our videos by clicking on the boxes on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more from CNBC International. Thank you for watching.